This is the current state of the plot manager on the screen. And I just want to quickly show you what are some of the problems we have in the background and that need to be fixed. And one of the reasons why we have to change a lot of stuff here is because we can open this on the web as well, and we can select stuff on the web, and that should have an effect as well in the game. So yeah, let's look into this. First, maybe a very short explanation how this should work in the future, what the intention here is. Number one would be, you should be able to buy and sell plots directly from the screen. It should not be necessary to go on a plot and type a command to buy something, right? So the idea is you just go onto some plot you like. Let's say this one is the one you like. All you do is go somewhere, open the screen, and then you would go to land, buy, sell. And then you could select some of the plots and press buy, and you would buy them, right? This is the current idea. Now let's look at a more complex implementation here. I started working on the options on the flags for a plot. And as you can see here by the amount of icons, this is a lot more difficult and there's a lot of things we can change. So there needs to be an easy way to understand and manage this type of data. Pretty much like a city planner. That's the idea here at least. So what can we do here? We can see what we can see here in the world. This is one of the plots and we have some neighboring plots over here. And only this one is mine and the other ones are not mine, right? And this is represented on the screen. We can see here, these are green, these are all mine. So I can select them all like this. And now we can see there's also some roads here or some water roads, whatever. And some red ones here. We can even zoom out now and we can see, oh, these are the plots of other people. As you can see here, the icons are not currently working in a higher zoom state. I will need to remove those. Currently, I'm only working on this zoom state. And what can we do now? So we can, for example, select some of these plots and we want to say these plots should be protected and nobody should be able to use any kind of buttons on these. So what we are going to do is we're going to say using stuff is on or default off. So as we can see here, by default, this is an indicator for the default state, is using any kind of buttons would be disabled. And then if we want people to be able to use buttons, we can turn this on. And some of these states are on by default and some of these states are off by default. And that makes it a little bit difficult to understand, right? Because mob spawning, for example, would be on by default, but use would be off by default. Shops would be off by default, pistons would be off by default, but TPA would be on by default, right? So we have some differences here and you need to be aware of those, and this makes it a little bit hard to understand. If you have a nice idea of how I could represent this or make it more understandable, please write that in the comments. All right, but yeah, I think this is already a very good state. We can pretty much select whatever we want. For example, we could say these right here should have TNT enabled. We select TNT, turn it on. On is highlighted because that is the action that would differ from the norm. If we would select, for example, the mob spawning flag, then off would be highlighted because that would be different from the norm. Okay, this works for the management of plots. And then as you can see here, there's only a maximum of 4 things visible at the same time, right? So if I would go on this one and I would say enable TNT, then we are at 4 out of 4. And now if I want to add one more than this, for example, I want to disable TPA, then it will be indicated with a number on top here that there is more to it than just what you see here. And in that case, I guess you either need to use commands or you need to look this up by removing some of the flags or something. I don't know. Maybe I will integrate an info command here as well. So you could then go on the info tab. You could select that single plot. And then you could see all of the information for that one single plot, right? This one is rather for managing a large amount of plots at the same time. All right, and now to the part. What's difficult now is that by design of my whole system here, you always have a player online, and that online player is using all of the tools that I've implemented. But now we can just disconnect from the server, but we can still go on the website and interact with the game, right? So I can still zoom in, I can still zoom out, I can still select stuff, and I can still turn stuff on and off, in theory. But in practice, my code still checks if a player is online, and because of that, it will not execute these actions. I've partially fixed it, that I at least can select stuff here, I can select stuff in here, I can move up and down and so on. But the turning stuff on and off, that I have still disabled, and the reason why it's disabled, because my code is checking, is the player online? If not, stop what you're doing. One of the reasons is that the player location is kind of important, right? You want to know where the player is standing to make sure that whatever you are doing, that it is somewhat in the region where the player is, and that you do not accidentally change plots on the other side of the world or in another whole world in the game. So that's why the player position was important earlier, and now I need to kind of mix it together, right? Where we can either do something from the screen, from the web, or we can do something from in the game, and we should still be able to change these selections. So I'm working on that, and one of the things I will need for this is saving all of the locations that the player has been at while playing previously, and I'm building this right now. So the idea of that would be that I have a travel system, and that, or a travel container, let's say. So it's just a class that has all of the travel information inside. And in this case right now, traveling is just where have you been lately and when did you log out. So I know the last location you were at in the game. And then you will still be able to manipulate areas close to wherever you were. If you have any ideas on how I could implement managing plots at a completely different location, please let me know. The only solution I have right now is that, assuming we are now on the screen of the web, I would maybe add a new option thing here, and that one would give you a list of all of the plots that you have. Then you could select one of the plots, and this would then be your next starting location. Then you click on any of the other options, and you are then at that location. And now you can select whatever you really want to select at that location. But yeah, I'm not sure yet. If you have a better idea of how to select stuff, and maybe with named locations, maybe using the homes as a starting point, that would be a way. Yeah, let me know.